We are now live on Facebook, and we welcome everybody to the March 23rd, 2021 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin as we always do with a quick prayer. So would you please join me? Dear Heavenly Father, please look over us as we make decisions for the betterment of our community. Please watch over us all as we continue to deal with the effects of the global pandemic. Please watch over our first responders and healthcare workers as they do their best to keep us safe and healthy. Please watch over our men and women in uniform, both here and overseas. Please be with the families of shooting victims in Atlanta and Colorado. We think about them and pray for them. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
and to the republic
which
stands
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice
and
for all.
justice.
Come in here, Bruce. Oh, good. How much time we got?
I really look forward to being able to be in person and all stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance at once.
Me
It's
too.
still hard to do that on Zoom. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Manager Southard,
Here.
Manager McCollum,
Here.
Manager Putman,
Here.
Manager Moran,
Here.
and Manager Berry.
Magistrate Barry answer, I guess you did.
Here, I'm sorry, Judge, I had it on mute.
All right, you have before you two sets of minutes. One is from the March 9th regular meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court, and the other from the very brief special called meeting on March 11th. I believe we can move to accept both sets of minutes at the same time. Can we not? I don't see any problem with that. So after a period of review, anybody wants to make a motion to approve both sets of minutes? I'll entertain that.
I move we accept.
Second.
We have a motion by Master Moran, a second by Master Southard, I believe, to accept both sets of minutes. Any other questions, clarifications, additions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Thank you, that passes. And we have with us this morning Missy Vanderpool and Whitney Risley from Henderson Economic Development. We have ongoing good news from Four Star Industrial Park, Columbia Sportswear. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe, or three, going on three now, announced an expansion, adding 25 jobs, as was our standing offer at the time. As part of our portion, our matching portion of their incentive package, we offered to suspend the 1% occupational tax for 10 years on all the new employees they added. Their goal was 25, and they have indicated their desire to go ahead and follow through with that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Whitney and Missy for more details.
Sure. Thank you, Judge. Yes, we're always excited to be able to come to fiscal court to bring you all news on projects with our existing industries. So back in January of 2019, Columbia went for preliminary approval on state and local incentives for this project. It was $700,000 in investment and 25 new jobs. And this project was to add additional equipment to be able to move inventory from their Portland, Oregon location to the Roberts distribution facility. So this project helped make that happen. They have since added all the equipment into their existing and current 520,000 square foot building. All of the investment has been made, equipment has been installed, and all the jobs have been added. And they're really pleased with what they've been able to do so quickly.
You'll see in your packet the resolution moving forward with our offer that estimated cost to the county over 10 years is total of $250,000. $25,000 a year approximately. We are incentivizing this expansion. So relatively small amount of money for good stuff happening out at Columbia. We will be willing to negotiate with the other 3 counties involved in 4-star to do what we can to make them okay with this. As you know, we've had some ongoing negotiations about the sharing of revenues, the approval of incentive packages involving tax forgiveness with the other 3 counties, and we will work that out with them when the time comes. But any other questions, Missy or Whitney? By the way, these are the last, I think, of the projects that we currently have where the 10-year moratorium on occupational tax for new jobs is involved as an incentive. I don't believe at the moment we have any others that we haven't already talked about. Nylene and Columbia, the current ones. Any others I'm missing, Missy or Whitney?
We'll go back and look in the state database to see which ones are still active. They normally reach out to the company when it's nearing their expiration date. So we'll follow up with that and get the information back to you all.
Tyson may be one that still has a possibility for expansions. They did several years ago, but you might want to look that one up. So any other questions of Missy or Whitney on this? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to read the resolution, please.
Resolution permitting rebate or retention by Columbia Brands USA LLC of the 1% occupational license fee on certain wages paid to employees in Henderson County, Kentucky, on the condition that Columbia Brands USA LLC meets the criteria of its application for incentives under the Kentucky Business Investment Act. Whereas Henderson County, Kentucky has adopted an occupational license fee ordinance paying for an occupational license fee of 1% on certain wages paid to employees in Henderson County, Kentucky. Whereas Columbia Brands USA LLC, hereinafter referred to as Columbia, is a sports apparel and footwear products with a warehouse and distribution operation in Henderson County. Whereas Columbia has made an application for certain benefits and incentives available to it under the Kentucky Business Investment Act as a result of its commitment to locate and create 25 new jobs and approximately $700,000 in capital investments, said application has been preliminarily approved by the Kentucky Economic Development and Finance Authority. And whereas Henderson County, Kentucky is willing as one of the incentives to permit the retention of Columbia of the 1% occupational tax revenues to be paid by employees of said company for new employees related to the current expansion, recognizing that said company's economic presence in the county enhances the economic prosperity of Henderson County, Kentucky. Now therefore be it resolved by the Fiscal Court of the County of Henderson, Commonwealth of Kentucky as follows. 1, that the Henderson Fiscal Court takes notice of and hereby approves the application of Columbia for benefits and incentives available to said company under the Kentucky Business Investment Act, including the application by said company for the retention of or rebate to said company of the 1% occupational tax revenues to be paid by new employees of said company under the guidelines of Kentucky Business Investment Act. Number 2, that the approval herein granted is subject to said company receiving final approval of its application and meeting all the terms and conditions of its eligibility of said benefits under the Kentucky Business Investment Act and continued compliance therewith. 3, that for 10 years subsequent to the activation date, as that term is defined in the agreement required by the Kentucky Business Investment Incentive State Program by and among the Kentucky Economic Development and Finance Authority, Columbia, and all necessary parties. Columbia shall be entitled to retain or have rebated to it the 1% occupational license fee, which would otherwise be paid by new employees of said company from their respective salaries and wages. The 1% retention or rebate shall not apply to existing employees or other income or net profits of said company and shall only apply to occupational license fees on wages paid to employees in Henderson County, Kentucky, sometimes otherwise referred to as payroll taxes.
Need a motion to approve?
I've got a question if I could. Steve, can we do this with our agreement with the other three counties? Can we do this by ourselves alone? Or is that going to create a problem where they're going to come back and say we gave away something we didn't have the authority to do?
You have identified part of the issue very well, Magistrate McCollum. We at least need to indicate our willingness to do this. And I believe Judge Schneider said he was going to go to the other fiscal courts and taxing districts and have that discussion with them.
I don't think there's any doubt that we have the legal right to do it. The only question is the sharing of tax revenue or any discussion about how revenues are shared if they are exempted in an incentive package. We do have the right to do this.
The question is any revenue that is foregone, whether or not there would be a potential liability there. And that's a discussion that does need to be had with Union County and Webster County and McLean County.
Okay, I would make a motion, we table this until we've done that then.
That may take quite some time, and in the meantime, we are impeding on Columbia's ability to begin its incentive plan. Again, we actually have the right to do this, and this was part of our agreement with Columbia 3 years ago. There's no reason to table this.
Well, can we change the resolution to put in there subject to the approval of your Union in McLean County? I don't want us to have more legal problems with that group.
I don't want this to be subject to the approval of other counties. They are located in Henderson County, and we will work out with the other counties any questions they might have about revenue sharing, but not about offering incentive to companies in Henderson County.
Why not do that ahead of time to stop creating a problem?
We're trying to, Master McCollum. We are trying to right now. We're in the middle of that discussion right now, working with the other counties to work out how we can best move forward. But this promise was already made to Columbia 3 years ago, before the current problems arrived. And they do not interfere with our ability to offer an incentive. The only question with the other three counties is how we might be able to settle any disagreements over taxes that are forgiven as part of an incentive, not with dealing with the companies. Deal with the state and their application for KBI.
At worst, Brad, the worst thing that would happen is we would have to pay them, the other counties, they're part of the 25,000 each year, right?
I'd say that's the worst case scenario. Yeah. But we're working on a way to absolve that and move forward. I don't want Columbia Sportswear to be held at hostage in any way, shape, or fashion because of any ongoing discussions we're having with the other three counties. It does not have to happen, and it should not happen at all.
Have we talked to any of the counties yet at all about this?
Absolutely. And you and I talked about that yesterday in our finance committee meeting, Mr. McCollum.
And what have they said? What did Webster County?
It may be best at this point to consider an executive session to discuss pending or threatened litigation.
I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Master McCollum, a second by Master Putman. This is based on possibility of pending litigation. Any opposed to do this? I guess we'll have to have everybody sign off the Zoom meeting if you're not a member of Fiscal Court, and then we will send out word to rejoin the Zoom meeting. Is that okay, Mr. Jacobs?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, thank you. Levity. Yeah.
And I just let Debbie Edwards know.
Okay. I guess the main thing is we get Hunter back on because that's the next point on the agenda. And we can take care of this business while we're getting Hunter back on the line.
Who you getting?
You can read on.
Who'd you get a hold of?
Reese and David.
Okay. Trying to get a hold of a number for Hunter.
Rejoin.
I let the jail know. Megan said it won't let her back in.
Why don't we go ahead and take care of a couple of the items that we can do without having a particular person on the Zoom call while they work on getting everybody back. Is that okay?
Sir, we're in the middle of this. We're in the middle of this resolution. We just read it, so
Yeah, I understand.
we can go ahead and
Yeah.
finish that up without Hunter.
That's-
as long as
And then I thought we might move to the Canoe Creek mowing contract until we get Hunter back, something like that. So we have the resolution on the incentive
need
for
to
Columbia.
Have a motion to go back into a regular session.
Right.
We,
I would so move.
That was already made when you came
yeah,
out of
it's
the
already
second.
made. Yeah. That was Mastered Southern and Mastered Berry.
Okay.
So we have the resolution before us from the Columbia incentive. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion to approve it.
Second.
We have a motion by Master McCollum, a second by Master Putman. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thanks. And Hunter is back with us. That's
Thank
good.
you all.
We are going to go into public hearing on a potential grant opportunity from Community Development Block Grant Program, the federal program. And to do that, I'll need a motion to go into public hearing, please.
So move.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Master Putman, a second by Master Southern. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, we're now in public hearing. And Hunter, I'm going to turn it over to you to describe this grant opportunity and what we can use it for.
All right. Thank you all for having me this morning. So this is a CDBG Public Services Utility Assistance Grant. And so this is to help people who have been impacted by COVID with their utility payments that they may be behind on. And like I said, this is for people that have been impacted economically by the COVID-19 pandemic. And so these utilities that it covers are gas, water, sewer, and electric. And this is also for people that are living outside of the city limits, as the city itself got funds earlier this year. And so this is for county residents only. And so I have a little something that I'm going to read here. So the purpose of this public hearing is to provide information to the public concerning Henderson County Fiscal Court's proposed application of $200,000 of CDBG CV Public Services Utility Assistance Application Funds to be submitted to the Department for Local Government and to obtain views on housing and community development needs. The public hearing also serves to inform low and moderate income persons that there is technical assistance through the Green River Area Development District in developing grant proposals for the CDBG program. Effective August 10th, 2020, HUD made CDBG CV funds available to prevent, prepare for, and respond to coronavirus. $38 million has been set aside for CDBG CV utility assistance that local governments can apply to. DLG is administering these funds. These funds will be used to will be utilized to aid those families that have been impacted by the pandemic, which have affected their ability to keep their utility payments. For Henderson County's application, only the residents outside the city limits of Henderson would be eligible for assistance that this program would offer. Since the project funds are being sought through the Housing and Urban Development Administration, it must be advised that the Uniform Displacement Act does not apply to this project, as no residents have been or will be displaced due to the activities of this project. A copy of the Uniform Displacement Act, however, can still be obtained from the Green River Area Development District, the Henderson County Fiscal Court, or the Department for Local Government. And if any of you all have any questions, feel free to ask.
Couple of things to add on here. This is being offered to all counties. Not a particular impetus of ours. It's just we were made aware of the opportunity and we're encouraged to participate. And it's money that could help our citizens, so we want to do that. Part of the process is to indicate a local agency that can help us administer the funds and take applications, vet applicants. And after consulting with GRAD, Audubon Area Community Services is an agency that's doing this for several counties because they already have an existing footprint and they have the infrastructure to take these applications. And Hunter, I'm under the impression that the other counties are heading that direction too, utilizing Audubon Area
Yes,
to
sir.
administer this. So they will handle all the logistics and approvals, making it simple for us. We just have to be the applicant. And this money will come available, I think, in a couple months, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, as of submitting the application, they said we would receive it within 60 days.
It's again $200,000 to be used towards utility payments for people who've been impacted by COVID. So we continue to get money in here to help our people. We want to take advantage of it if we can. Any other questions of Hunter?
Just one. Hunter, is there a cap on how much you could give per family or individual on the utilities? Like up to 200, up to 300?
Yes, sir. It's 250 per month, and it can go up to 6 consecutive months.
6.
And this can be in a, like going back to July or January.
That was my next question. How far back does it go? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Steve, do we need to tell the public that they can ask questions and do we need to swear Hunter in?
Well,
We're about
it
to-
never hurt. I don't believe it's necessarily an absolute legal requirement to swear in, but it's always best practice. So, Mr. Phillips, do you swear or affirm the testimony you just gave is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir. I swear.
We were about to get to asking for public comment, so.
Right.
Any other questions from the court, Mr. Phillips? Now I'll ask any members of the public who have a question can utilize the comment section of Facebook to pose a question. There will be more information coming out about this as the program is implemented, especially when the money's ready. And again, Audubon Area Community Services will be helping us publicize this and take applications. And the Green River Area Development District will also help in administration as well. And we appreciate their help as always. I'll ask a second time, anybody who has comment or questions can utilize the chat comment section, on Facebook Live. And Mr. Gold, you look like you might be monitoring that. Is that the case?
I am, sir.
Okay, thank you. Give it a moment. There's a bit of a delay, I'm sure.
Brad, on here, on the chart where it shows the monies, it shows that the city of Morganfield, why would they be on this?
Hunter,
They
include that?
they supply gas in the very because they pick up gas in the county of Henderson and then ship it to Morganfield, and they hit a few houses along the way. And so just in case, we wanted to cover those residents as well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I did not know that. Okay, ask a third time. Any comments, questions? Use the comment section in Facebook. Give it just a couple more minutes if anybody wants to throw a question in there. Again, this is for $200,000 in utility assistance for those negatively impacted by COVID. So it's a good opportunity. Steve, any questions, any comments?
Well, unfortunately, my computer just froze, so I don't see much of anything right now, and I apologize.
It's all right.
Hunter, would
Okay,
you
now it's
give-
back and I don't see any comments.
give your contact information if somebody out there wanted to get in touch with your office about this?
Yeah, our my number is 270-82 or sorry, I'm not used to my phone. 85 no. Hold on a second. I guess
remember
I
the
should
office
have
number.
that memorized. Hold on.
In Hunter's defense, it's been a long time since grad staff have all been in the office together. They've been using their personal phones for months now. So,
Yes, sir. Our office number is 270-926-4433.
Thank you, Hunter.
Yes, sir.
okay, I'll entertain a motion to come out of public hearing, please.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Master Putman, second by Master Barry, I believe. And to follow this up, we have a resolution moving forward with the application. So, Mr. Clerk, would you please read the resolution?
Whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court wishes to apply for funding from the Community Development Block Grant CARES Act utility assistance for the purpose of mitigating severe financial distress caused by COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court endorses said proposed project. And whereas the county understands that the Community Development Block Grant CARES Act program is a federally funded program. And whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court is eligible to apply for assistance through the Community Development Block Grant Utility Assistance Program. Now therefore be it resolved by the Henderson County Fiscal Court that the judge executive and the successors in title are hereby authorized to execute and submit an application through the Department for Local Government with such assurances and required supporting data as is necessary to apply for funding assistance through the Community Development Block Grant CARES Act program for the proposed services.
Your motion to approve that?
So move.
Second. We have a motion by Master McCollum, second by Master Southard. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Hunter, and we look forward to bringing that online and helping Henderson County residents.
Thank you.
Next in your packet is a renewal of our joint contract with the city with Canoe Creek Mowing. The contract that was approved last year has an option for 3 renewals, 3 total annual renewals, and city's recommending we go ahead and renew. And I think on our end, we just need a voice vote to agree to renew the contract to mow Canoe Creek.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Master Cullum, second by Master Sutter. Any other questions about this? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Debbie Edwards, your latest.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't really have a lot to report today. Things are going very well here at the shelter. Things are starting to really pick back up now that spring is here. Kitten season is among us. They're coming in. More on the cat population as we proceed in the following months, as we gather more data on trying to hopefully get a grasp on this population issue. We're getting a lot of, you guys have our numbers. Our numbers look really good. We have finally resumed training for animal control, which is huge because we've been at a complete standstill for over a year. One of my newest animal control officers and myself are going to training the rest of this week. And most of our national trainings, while they're not in person, they are online. So my lead animal control will start that in April. So since we are doing so well and we are starting to really beef up with the amount of running at large dogs that we have in the area, I have posted a new animal control job. So we will be having 3 on staff now, just to try to keep up with even the amount of citations we're writing. A lot of these running at large are people's pets and they're just failing to keep them contained, which is an ordinance, as we all know. But when they do reclaim them, they also don't have proof of rabies vaccination, which is a state law, and they just have to make sure that that's done. We basically let them reclaim their dogs. They have a reasonable amount of time. With COVID, it's really hard to get into a veterinarian right now. You have to have the rabies done by a registered vet. So within reason, if they do not either communicate with us or reach out to us and let us know why they didn't keep their appointment. And then ultimately coming up here to get the city county tags, which is also in our ordinance, with a valid proof of rabies, they're getting cited. We've got quite a few like that. So just a reminder to everyone that if you're going to be a pet owner, even with a cat, you must have yearly rabies vaccinations. Dogs are required as well to have city county tags, which I believe a lot of people aren't even aware that this is an ordinance. I've had a few run-ins with a few police officers that were not even aware that existed. So I think lack of awareness is the biggest part of it. We're really trying to work with the veterinarians. It really makes sense to just have them collect this with the proof of rabies at the same time and make it a lot easier for people, or even eventually come up with some sort of online purchase where you don't have to drive to the shelter to get a city county tag. It's very inconvenient. So we're working on that. The biggest thing is that people just need to keep their dogs contained. Our numbers are really up with running at large dogs. Even in the county, I understand you have a lot of ground, but if they're killing chickens or other animals, they could even get run over and get hurt very severely. And then we have no choice but to come and get them and try to help them. So we want to keep them safe as much as you do. So just please try to keep your dogs contained, and get into those vet appointments. They even offer a 3-year rabies now.
Debbie, I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Is there, with COVID, and we've all found these, like the Zoom call here we're doing now, copying PDFs and emailing or texting them, and there's a lot of different ways to communicate now that they've gotten a whole lot more popular. Would there be a way where we might set up a procedure where people could, once they get their rabies shot, they could email that or make a call you and you have a Zoom meeting with them, or some way that they could send that information to you, and then they send their check and then you send them the tags or whatever, so they didn't have.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's just something to think about.
Absolutely. We've got several things we're just kind of discussing at this point. The most efficient way would be to have the veterinarians do this in their office. But it's all in process, so we're definitely working on it. We just want everybody to be, it's not just a $2 city county tag. There's a lot of reasoning behind it, and I don't think the community is really aware of why we do that. But it sure does help if your pet's not microchipped and we find it on the side of the road. It may have been hit by a car. With that city county tag, we can track you down. We know who you are. We can contact you to come and get your animal. If it was my dog, I would want to know immediately. And that way we know they're already up to date. We know they're licensed. Eventually, we're hopefully going to have a huge dog park in Henderson County. So you're going to need that in order for your pets to even go to the dog park. So it's a good thing.
Debbie,
Open park.
Oh, I didn't get any of that.
It's a dog park open at Community Park on 136.
Yes. It's basically just a fenced in area. I don't know that there's really a lot of upkeep. I know it floods pretty bad back there. I've recently this weekend visited several dog parks in Louisville, and I guess it's like the horses in Lexington. They live a lot better than we do. So you can dream.
Debbie,
Hey,
you said something about the rabies had to be through a veterinarian. So if you go to Rural King and get the medicine and do it yourself, you can't just bring the receipts?
You are not allowed to give rabies. You can give all the other vaccinations that you need as far as for any other disease control, parvo, distemper, things like that. But rabies is only legally allowed by a veterinarian.
All right, thank you.
Debbie, trying to tag on to what Charlie was suggesting, I like that, but how does that work out logistically where you can get all the pet owners? Is there some way other than going to the vets, I'm assuming, and see who they have registered as far as rabies?
Well, that's really my plan, that I would like to see all the vets in Henderson County. If they're a Henderson County resident, there should be a database that we can all access. And then I can contact them from there. I definitely don't want to make it any harder for the veterinarians as well, but many of us know you're not going to drive on the north end of town and get a rabies vaccination and then drive on this end of town for a $2 city county tag. I understand it's totally inconvenient. So we're just trying to figure out some way of having a county database so I can track those people and when they come in. And a lot of them don't live in Henderson County, so it doesn't apply to them. And then you have those few that always just want to follow the rules and do the right thing, and they come in faithfully. But awareness, I think, is the biggest part. A lot of people just are not aware that it's even an ordinance.
Yeah, I agree with that. But again, it's one of them things that it's not the money. I think it's the mere inconvenience of coming down there and getting a $2.50 license. Yeah,
I agree.
but thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions of Debbie? Thanks for your report. Keep up the good work on the financial side of it. Looks good. Looks
Thanks,
solid. We appreciate everything you do. Next, our detention center reports, and I think Leslie Gibson is on with us. Anything you want to report, Leslie, or anything new? Anything going on?
Hey, it's actually Megan here, Megan McElfresh.
Oh, sorry, Megan.
I had to switch over. Nothing new to report here, just trying to make sure that we're following all the CDC guidelines and keeping everybody safe. Nothing new to report. I'm standing in for the jailer today. She's in first aid training this morning.
Thanks, Megan. Any questions of Megan?
Did we ever get the procedure manual?
I think that we're still working on it, but I'd have to get back with you on that.
Okay. Would it be out of line, Brad, to put that on the agenda for like next week or, next meeting, so we don't let it drop, so use that sort of as a to-do list where we can not forget about it?
What do we need to put on the agenda though? I mean, we can follow up outside of fiscal court meeting, but I'm wondering what we need to put on the agenda.
Just the issue of the manual, the procedure manual, so that we get it and review it. I don't think this court has not done that during the time that I've been on the court.
Right. I don't believe they have it put together yet, Charlie.
Okay.
That's the problem.
We can put a note on the agenda to have another, detention center report with a asterisk about.
That would be great. That just so we
make sure we have the copy of the policy when they get ready. I don't think that's a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Megan? Thank you, Megan. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Judge.
You're having your packet, the sheriff's monthly reports. I'll ask David Crafton if he has anything to add.
No, I don't.
Entertain a motion to approve the sheriff's reports.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Master Moran, second by Master Berry. Any other questions?
I heard on the news that we had that somebody run over a cruiser, how bad did it tear the car up?
It's down there at Classic Automotive. Dwight went down to check on it earlier, and I haven't talked to him to see how much damage. But it was enough that they couldn't drive it back here. It had to be taken down to.
The officer's okay.
Yeah.
Good deal.
That
And the
was
other-
not an at-fault accident on our part, right, Dave?
No, it involved a drunk driver.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hope they have
Dave,
insurance.
Have insurance?
We'll see how good it is.
David, did they have insurance? The other people?
Did they have insurance? We were talking about that a while ago. We were reviewing the report a while ago. They have insurance listed,
Right.
but the trailer wasn't owned by him. It may be stolen. I'm just getting some bits and pieces from it a while ago. So we'll find out more about it later on today.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, David. Appreciate it. County Clerk Bernice Abner, your report, please.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to
morning.
see you.
Good morning.
I have the month of February 2021, the excess fees for the month, $94,100.06. And total remitted to the county is $130,947.41. We're doing very well to start the year out. March is generally one of our busiest months. And I don't know if you can hear the crowd in here. We do have quite a few people in the office and lines, but we are socially distancing and keeping up with customers, and everything's going well.
Bernice is on track to significantly better her revenue goal. Some of that is increased fees, state increase in fees, but we'll get the benefit of that. I appreciate her team's effort. She has been one of the very best departments in our whole building here about trying to maintain social distance and following CDC guidelines. I know Mr. Gold's office has been very adamant about that and will continue to be, even with the rollout of the vaccine. But Bernice's office sees more in-person traffic than any other, unless you want to count the jail as in-person traffic, and I guess it certainly is. But for people who are actually going to leave once they come in, she's done a great job. So.
Thank you. We try really hard.
Any questions of Bernice? Entertain a motion to accept her report.
So
moved.
Second.
I have a motion by, I think, Master Southard, second by Master Berry. That suffices. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thanks. Mr. Gold, your report, please.
Hey, Judge, first, a couple of things before payments today. Want to bring the court up to date. I'm sure as the court recalls, some of the money that we expend can be reimbursed. We can get 2/3 of a federal reimbursement on that. And we've got Kyle Evans, First Assistant County Attorney, has been working on that. He's just submitted one request for reimbursement for part of this year, and he's working on a second larger one, and hopefully those will be coming in soon. But that's something that we're proud of, being able to return that money. The second thing I wanted to bring up today is the family of Chloe Randolph is on my thoughts quite a bit today. It's been 2 years to the day since she was slain in a domestic violence situation, and that really brings home a lot of what the Sheriff's Department and what our office do, dealing with victims of domestic violence, and seeing what the Randolph family has done by creating the Chloe Randolph organization to be an additional resource for victims of domestic and interpersonal violence has been a real inspiration to me, and I think all of us that deal with the really thorny issue of domestic violence and deal with the victims and survivors. So I just wanted to pause and recognize that and the good work that they've done, taking that personal tragedy into and making it something that is a real benefit for this community. With regard to payments, we have several checks that I've given to Mr. Luton today. The first is $485.34 for dental and life insurance, $6,341 for health insurance, $124.94 for AFLAC, a reimbursement from the city, $458.33, interest in the amount of $69.81 for a total remitted today, $7,479.42, and fiscal year to date, $122,641.97.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Motion by Master McCollum, second by Master Putman. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? To follow up on what Mr. Gold said tonight at the City Commission meeting, I'll read a joint city and county proclamation commemorating Chloe and reminding people of the ongoing efforts of the Chloe Randolph organization for all the reasons that Steve just gave. So we celebrate that family and hold them up and wish them the best. And they continue to be engaged with my office in many ways and always pulling us into their next activity. And I encourage you to follow their Facebook page. They're pretty active and really have found a way to turn a negative tragedy into a positive future for a lot of people. So, good folks. Okay, proud to get to the next item on the agenda. Really am pleased that we're going to have the second reading of our amending in enough money to defease the 911 bill and the 911 bond that we've had for some years. So that I'll turn it over to Treasurer Ryder. Any other comments on this? And you want to go ahead and read the transfer?
This is the second reading of a budget amendment amending into the current fiscal year with the corresponding increasing of expenditures of $1,450,000. The revenue account is general fund prior year carryover, and the appropriation account will be general fund 911 debt service. This is with the remainder of the project funds for this project is the proceeds are going to be used to purchase securities for deposit into an escrow account to defease the 2015 911 bond.
Any other questions about that? And I appreciate the court working to do what we've done the last few years to be able to pay off this debt and defease it. And it's a great thing for our county and for the general fund, for taxpayers. It really is.
Judge, I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Master Putman, a second by Master Southard. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. And we'll continue with Treasurer Ryder on fund transfers.
The fund transfers are as presented. This is redistributing appropriations within the existing budget. Also, at the bottom of the page, you'll notice that there are two cash transfers. These are redistributing electronic fund transfers to the appropriate accounts.
Anybody have any questions about the transfers? Notice that we've received a partial payment or maybe the full payment on the VOCA grant from County Attorney Gold's office that you're pulling into the general fund. Thank you. Glad those monies are coming into us. Motion to approve the transfers.
I move we approve the transfers.
Second.
Motion by Master Moran, second by Master Barry. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Charlie, your Your mic is on mute. You're sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. Any opposed? That passes. And Treasurer Ryder, now into claims.
You have your bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day appropriation line should be at approximately 75%. I do have additional claims from the general fund to Downey's Plumbing in the amount of $541.75. This is for Judicial Center plumbing work and is to come from the Judicial Center expense appropriation line. To CDW Government in the amount of $1,901.54. This is for a KBM server switch and is to come from the IT services appropriation line. To the Tourism Commission in the amount of $581.34. This is the pass-through of the hotel tax and is to come from that appropriation line. From the jail fund to Southern Health Partners in the amount of $4,532.09. This is for an outstanding invoice for July of 2020 and is to come from the routine medical appropriation line. That is all the additional claims.
Any other questions about claims?
I move to pay the claims.
Second.
We have a motion by Master Putman, a second by Master Berry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Before we go into any other questions about finances, I'll open the floor up to members of the Finance Committee, Master McCollum and Master Putman. Any other comments? Insights?
Well, other than what we say every court meeting, that we're right on target. County's doing well, very healthy. So
It's been incredible. It really has been, considering put in what we thought might happen with dropping in.
COVID, yeah.
It didn't happen, and we're really holding it well.
Couple things wrapping up financial portion of this meeting. I'd like to propose our first budget workshop, and it will be on April 29th at 3:30. I believe that's a Thursday. And we will try to make that in person if we can at that point. And this will be the first kind of go around, first run through of the draft budget that I'll be presenting. If after that first workshop, we feel like we need to continue the discussion, we will schedule another workshop early in May with the goal of being ready to have first reading of the new budget during the second fiscal court meeting in May. But we'll take all the time we need. That's my timeline at the moment, but if we need to take even more time than that, that is okay. Our constitutional responsibility is to have a budget approved by end of June. So we should
Judge,
be able to get that done.
what time was it, Judge? I may have missed the time.
3:30 p.m.
And we'll do that in the courtroom.
Yes.
You're still socially distancing, but we'll be there hopefully.
Yeah.
And I think I can be there now. I should be good to go after the 16th of April. So that's fine with me. But if everybody isn't ready to do that, could we still have people do the Zoom and have it put up on the big TV so that everybody can sort of communicate?
Yes, sir. We can do that.
That would be good.
So double check your calendars, and if there's any of you that absolutely cannot attend that date and time, let me know, and we may suggest another day. But that last week of April, I think, is the optimum time to do that. The Finance Committee met yesterday, and one of our discussions was the oversight of the new round of federal COVID relief funding that is coming our way. I think has been widely reported now. There's large amounts of money coming to both cities and counties in Kentucky. In our case, the estimate is about $8.8 million in various, to be used for various forms of COVID relief. There's a initial guidance from the federal government on what it can be used for, but we are awaiting even more detailed guidance. In the meantime, I wanted to kind of create a bit of a structure for the county to utilize to begin to vet ideas about how we use this money. And I would propose that initially we make the finance committee our fiscal court's oversight committee to begin with. And with the idea that the finance committee will take input from the community and fiscal court, and eventually bring back to fiscal court proposals for spending projects related to the money. And we have until 2024 to expend those funds. So this won't happen all at once. We won't spend the money all at once. But the finance committee will bring, as is needed, the ideas for spending projects to court for approval. Is anybody okay with that? Does anybody have any other ideas?
I'm okay with that, Brad. My only thinking is, and I think there's certain ways that you can have more than the quorum, like you have committees, people can be there for educational purposes, but we'd have to notify the press if we thought there would be more than, I mean, I don't want to block anybody else out, you know, any other magistrate or anybody that wants to know and be part of it. But you know, that's just my thinking out loud here.
When we get closer to having our first meeting, we'll work through that.
Okay.
I think certainly some of it can be public, and we will have the discussion in fiscal court meetings that are obviously public.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I also think there may be times when the committee itself can, which is only 3 members of fiscal court, can meet with individuals from the community and get input without having necessarily go through the formality of an open meeting. But we can double check with that every time we do it.
Right. I just didn't want any of the other 3 members feel left that they wanted to sort of be involved. You know,
and I think many of you took advantage of the chance to join the KCO and KCJEA joint meeting we had online last week to learn more. And there will be additional such webinars, and we will certainly get you the information of those every time they are made available, so you can listen in. And as we get more guidance about what these monies can be spent on. And
I appreciate you telling us about it and giving us information. That presentation is online on their webpage now.
Yeah. And hopefully, as the public finds out more about what it can and cannot be spent on, it'll help the committee help vet some of these requests. I know we're going to get a lot, and there's certainly organizations and other projects in our county that really need some help. So anyway, I'll keep you informed, and unless I hear any other objections, we'll just start out this process with the finance committee beginning to assume that role, and we'll develop it as you all want to as we move forward. Everybody agree? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to go to the county. We have with us a corner farmer who wanted to bring before the court a new development he's got with the hospital, and I'll let him explain it and bring to the court his request.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge and members of the court. I pulled a little boo-boo. I had all the paperwork for y'all, and I thought I'd already given it to the clerk. Found out yesterday I didn't, so we've rushed around. So I thank the clerk for his help. We've been in negotiations with Deaconess Hospital since last August in regards to the answering service that the coroner's office uses. We had an old contract with Methodist Hospital that dated back to 1989 and was still in effect. Deaconess wanted us to do a new one with them effective July of 2020. Mr. Gold's been involved in some of this. He's been on a couple of phone calls. He's looked at the contract per se, and all we're asking for is for them to continue what they've been doing, but their rates were extremely high. And in talking with other answering services, they weren't that far out of line. So we talked with them and they brought down the fee that they wanted to charge us. We've been paying $90 a month to the hospital, and Deaconess is asking for $125 a month to do the same kind of work. It's an increase of $420 over our past bid. We had the old contract for 22 years. I would like to get the approval that we can initiate this contract, and they asked for us since they've been doing it since last July and haven't disconnected us in anything, that we do this in yearly payments in July, and like to go back and set this up from July of 2020 forward and all, if we could. The answering service is a 24-hour service for us. It's and like Mr. Gold, one of his questions was, about some of the information. That line is not used for people to report deaths or anything like that. It's mostly families, lawyers, insurance companies, and all try and get a hold of us, since our office is not manned 24 hours a day. Well, it's not manned any, really, and going from there. So the answering service forwards it to whoever's on call or to me if it's specifically looking for me. The ladies have done a great job with us for years, and I'd just like to keep it going and ask that we approve this new contract for $125 a month, or it's $1,500 a year, and we do it on a yearly payment basis. Like I said, backdated to July of 2020, since they kept the service up and going. I mean, it's on 1-year automatic renewals.
Mr. Gold, anything you want to add?
I've reviewed the contract and it's approved as to form and legality.
Bruce, you said they want it backdated. Does that mean we owe them money right now?
Yes, they would like to have the 2020 fiscal year 21 payment for $1,500. And since we haven't been paying the $90 all along, we've got enough in the budget to account for that at this time that won't put us in a problem, and we'll just make sure we have adjustments for it starting on the new budget year.
So we have not been paying the $90 a month?
No, no.
Do you know how long we have not been paying the $90?
As the treasurer would tell you, this thing's been a hit and miss thing for years. That Paula and I were working with them, and we couldn't even get anybody to tell us what we were paying $90 for. We thought we were paying for a phone line for a long time. And then suddenly they found a contract through their legal that had been initiated by Dr. Cantley in, I think it was 89 and all, for the $90. But I don't think there's a single year where we actually paid $90 each month, because their accounting on this was really kind of a hit and miss on their part, not ours.
Is there a scenario under which you could see that we don't need this answering service, where people could just call the regular number of 911 or dispatch center, not 911, but their regular non-emergency number, and have calls referred to you?
That's what the answering service goes to. That's the telephone number that whenever we're not around goes to them, and they get it to the proper person and all for there. I really would like to keep this service up and going, because it is a great bit, because way our schedule is, and trying to, if we tried to start forwarding other phones at different times, I see confusion coming on. Like I said, it's not for emergency calls. It's more like family questions, lawyer questions, insurance questions, that kind of deal.
So we owe from June of 2020 to June 30th of 2021. Basically, then we're going to pay the 1,500, Bruce, for in next year's budget?
Yes.
Okay.
It's come down to, we've got them down to $1,500 a month and all. And they're just asking that since they continue doing it, we go ahead and pay the 2020, out of their generosity or so to give it. With Deaconess, you deal with so many different departments and all and getting something done. But yes, that's what they are asking.
But you got enough to cover the 2020?
Yes.
At $90, right?
No, it's going, if $90 is what we've been paying, it's going to $125 a month, which, that's a $35 a month increase.
But that's in July. We haven't agreed to pay anything up to this point except for the $90.
True.
I think that's their request in this contract is that we.
Yeah, the $90 contract, they ended it July 1st whenever Deaconess took over.
I'd like to make a suggestion. In order for continuity's sake and to keep, goodwill with Deaconess, I'd like to go ahead and I would suggest we accede to their terms and pay them the $125 a month back bill and get square with them this year and subscribe to their service one more year. But in the meantime, in the next 12 to 18 months, I'd like for the corner to develop a plan that would enable us not to have to rely on Deaconess to forward non-emergency calls if these calls are truly just fairly much mundane business calls. I think we can probably do it without this expense. I'm sure there's a way. If no other way, having them call my office and my phone number, and we can refer them that way. If these are truly kind of business hour type calls, I think we can probably handle it without this fee. But in the meantime, we need to have, the coroner would like to have this service. How does everybody feel about that?
I'm okay.
I'm okay with it, Judge.
Hours though, Bruce?
Do what?
I think that's a
You
good
said all the
idea.
calls are after hours?
All
I
hours, Dave.
All hours, okay.
Yeah, the only people who use this for emergency calls is if there's a death in the hospital, they call the operator downstairs and the operator gets hold of us and then we have to let 911 know. It's a system that they've used for years and they make sure they get a hold of whoever's on call to answer it.
Well, in that case, the hospital has kind of a vested interest in, doing something with the deceased. So they should be calling you anyway, regardless of whether we had an answering service or not. And you can provide your numbers to their desks so that they don't have to go through an operator. They can just call you directly or is that the case? They can call the 911 non-emergency number and get a referral. I mean, I just don't want to spend money we don't have to eventually, if that's possible.
Yeah. I see it being kind of complicated because with the number of deputies we have, and then like I said, I got a call this morning that they didn't want to talk to the deputy, they wanted to talk to me in regards to a case we've got out of Louisville and all, and getting that finalized. So, I mean, I see it as a big positive for us, and the system has been working and been working well for years. And they're offering to keep that system, just asking for a reasonable increase.
Well, we haven't been paying for the service for years, apparently. Now we will be. So I'd like to go ahead and get square with Deaconess this year if that's their request. Maybe contract for one more year and then use those 12 months to ask the coroner to come up with a suggested plan to take this service in-house, as it were. Is that fair?
Yeah. I think it is. And Brad, there are systems where you can do it remotely. Like whoever's on call would remotely go in and do the call forwarding, that it goes to whoever's on call's phone, and then that would take everybody out. You wouldn't need an answering service. It'd go to the person who's on call.
Absolutely. That's the way I've got my storage facility down here. We don't even have a phone in the office. It rings directly to my wife's cell phone, or I can change it to my number. It's simple as making a,
It's not hard.
no.
And I
Yeah.
understand your, I'm sorry, Tim, go ahead.
I understand it's not hard, but I asked consideration with, I've got 3 deputies don't even know how to use computers. That we're getting to be an older group and we're not technology savvy on some things, and we try to keep it as simple as we can to still be able to do the service to the people of Henderson County. There's, like I've always said, there's only so much we can do for the deceased. It's the families we're helping getting the process started. And that sometimes gets a little confusing if they haven't ever had to deal with this type of thing.
But I think like the judge said though, Bruce, call forwarding is about as simple as you can get.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, just throw that in. Charlie, I mean, I think that's pretty simple if it comes down to that. I mean, like computer.
If you can use a cell phone, you can learn how to do this. See, I don't care how old you are. And if you can't learn that, you probably don't need to be working like that.
Well, I'm having a staff meeting next week. I will bring it up and talk to them and see what the thoughts are for the group per se.
Now, again, what I'm proposing is, a year to kind of figure this out. And
yeah,
I know it's not a lot of money. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money, but it's not money we've really been paying up till now. And if we can come up with a simple solution that saves us $1,500, I'd love to do that if it's simple and easy. And I think it sounds like it could be.
So Bruce, that if I understand Brad correctly, that puts you off till 2022, June the 30th to come up with a solution.
I think that would be
no,
a fair amount of time.
It'd be June 30th of 2021.
No, he's proving another.
No. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're adding on a, yes, sir. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I would make that motion. Okay, to approve that.
So again, the motion is go ahead and accede to the contract. We and pay them back to last July. And then for next year, we pay the $1,500 up front for a year's subscription, for want of a better term. And in that time, before we get to the 2022-2023 fiscal year, we have a plan from the coroner's office to take that service in-house.
And I second it.
Okay. We have a motion from Master McCollum, second by Master Putman. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Mr. Gold, you look like you were about to say something.
Just please note, Mr. Farmer, that section 1.4B requires 60 days written notice to terminate the renewal clause of the contract. So
yes, sir,
you would need to give that to them more than 60 days prior to the end.
I figure we'll be in budget discussions before then, and we'll be able to decide whether we're going to carry it on or not.
Well, that'll be.
I think it gives us time to work on it. Plus, who knows, there may be somebody else in this position that you have to deal with.
I guess so. Well, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? So we'll work on filling out that.
I thank y'all very much for this.
We do.
You're welcome.
Another quick note. Unfortunately, our recent appointment to the Tourist Commission, Jamie Lyles, had to drop off that board. That's a joint appointment of myself and the mayor, and she unfortunately cannot continue. Abby Dixon, Executive Director of the Tourist Commission, has checked with both the mayor and I, and she recommends Kathy Morgan, who is also a staff member at Ellis Park, to take that seat. And both the mayor and I approved. So just give you a heads up that we had to make that replacement done. So get that done. I don't see Kenny Garrett. I was going to go to him for good of the county. He dropped off. So we'll go to the magistrates. Magistrate Moran, anything for good of the county?
I don't. I wanted to say congratulations to Amy Brady on being appointed to a state committee. And I thought that was nice. And I just appreciate all the first responders and people. My husband had a fall this week after surgery, and they were very helpful in coming out. So I appreciate all those people out there that do all the extra things to help us out. And all's well in the second district.
Pastor Moran, if you don't mind me relaying to the public the challenge that both you and I have had with fraudulent unemployment claims. You mind if I talk a little bit about that?
No, by all means.
Both Magistrate Moran and I had our identities stolen in order to, for someone out there to apply for unemployment benefits in our names. And when that happened to me a month ago, I was shocked to receive a check for $600 in the mail, a paper check saying that they couldn't direct deposit it, so they were sending me a paper check, and I had no idea what it was all about. And I immediately called my state senator, and also emailed the commissioner of the unemployment office to ask what the heck this was, and was given the information that nearly 50% of all applications for unemployment insurance in Kentucky in the last year have been fraudulent claims. Nearly 50%, which means people like Beth and I, who didn't even think about, had no reason to apply for unemployment, or having unemployment applications made in our name and money direct deposited to bank accounts who knows where, and eventually could, had we not caught that and notified the unemployment office of that fraud, we could have received a 1099 later, owing taxes. The county could have been on the hook for unemployment insurance costs. And if 50%, nearly 50% of claims are fraudulent, this is affecting Kentuckians and Kentucky businesses across the Commonwealth. It is alarming. So I want to send the message for anybody watching or any of our team members at county. If you get notice in the mail that you have somehow applied for unemployment insurance, if you get money, a check that you know you didn't apply for, immediately go to the Kentucky Career Center website and follow the prompts to report unemployment fraud. There's an online form on which you can upload pictures of the document that you got. It took me 6 forms. I got 6 different pieces of mail indicating how my unemployment insurance applications were progressing. And I emailed all those in to the unemployment office, and finally yesterday received confirmation that they had received it. They understood it was fraud and were taking the steps to shut down those claims. I can only imagine what the problem will be for Kentuckians who may not understand how to do that. So be watchful. Beth has already started the process of reporting her fraudulent claim. I believe by the end of this year, and when we get into next tax season, this is going to be a huge headache, just a mess. And the state has barely touched on it yet. So thank you for letting me do that, Master Moran. I just thought it
happened to me as well.
The Federal Trade Commission also, if you go to their website, they have an identity theft section, and they lead you through all of it. And they're very helpful also about freezing credit reports and all that kind of stuff. So that's helpful too.
Yeah. Mr. Gold, did you have something you want to say?
It happened to me as well.
Really?
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Tim, now you know why they need so much money, the government, because we're giving half of it away.
Judge, if you don't mind, it seems like it's becoming a problem here at the jail too. We received an unemployment request from an employee who is currently employed here, dating back to prior to when he ever started here. So we were suspicious of that. It appears it's happening here.
That's terrible.
I know that the unemployment office is trying to fix this, but they seem defenseless when it comes to certain types of hacking, and this is proof. And all I can say to anybody watching, and for Beth the Gleaner, who might be reporting about this soon, this is a huge problem across the state. And I get more and more reports of Henderson County and just getting these mysterious unemployment checks in the mail, wondering what's going on. Meanwhile, there are people who have been waiting for months, legitimate applicants who have not gotten their checks and can't get a phone call back, and have a hard time getting anybody to answer an email. It's crazy. It's disturbing. So thank you, Beth. Appreciate that. And Megan, if any of your folks at the jail have any questions, we can help. My office can help, and we can point them in the right direction.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Master Putman, on that cheery note, anything for good of the county?
Thank you, Judge. Again, I'd like to kind of tag on to what Magistrate Moran was talking about. Amy Brady, jailer Brady, I think the only jailer that sits on that Kentucky State Correction Commission too. So we're proud of her. Just congratulations to her. And all is good in the fourth, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. And here for Jailer Brady's appointment. Master Southern.
All's good in District 3. Rivers down, roads are good. We're doing, or getting better, not good, getting better.
You don't need any rock either, do you?
I'm working on that. Bill's he's a little stingy this time of year.
Well, seeing Mr. Garrett back on with us, I'll let you know, Master Southern, that the recent high water did wash away quite a bit of rock, and we are going to 6 figures worth of rock in cash outlay. So we're going, the state had been under a declaration, the entire state had been under a declaration of emergency when that happened. It was tied to the ice storm, the snowstorm and rising water. So we are going to apply to FEMA to get reimbursed. We'll see what happens, but waters are down, but that's the good news. The bad news is when they went down, they took a whole lot of gravel with it. So unfortunately, happens seemingly every year in Henderson County.
Yeah, but we resell that gravel when they suck it up in the sand and gravel. Not very profitable doing that.
Recycling it.
Is that what happens? It's good to know we get it back somehow. Master McCullum, anything for good of the county? Master McCullum, good of the county?
Yes, indeed. I would like to thank you for what you did going out to the jail and letting the jail people know, employees know how much we appreciate them. And I know that was a little bit of a hardship to have to go to 3 dinners to do that. But I just want you to know I do appreciate it because they do deserve it. Our laws on county government are so screwed up. I mean, you got to jump through all kinds of different hoops to do stuff. It's just a shame you can't just do something without having to have a meeting and do things like that. But it's that's just the way the law is. It's I hate it, but it works. But I do appreciate you taking the time to go out there and doing that. And I would like to ask us maybe to put on our agenda the possibility of setting a procedure for how we want to handle our zoning changes in the future, so we can do something that we don't have to have any controversy on. Maybe putting the consent agenda or doing it, some way without having any risk of us taking a vote that might put it in jeopardy to have a hearing. But I do think that we all need to look at those and make sure that we all feel comfortable that the zoning is proper. As I talked to Eddie Jones, they have a consent agenda, and they did theirs a little different. The planning commission, and I don't know that our planning commission would miss something this important, but they actually, I think, had an industrial zone change in a floodplain, and the fiscal court, somebody on the fiscal court caught it, so they had their own hearing and they turned it down, even though it had been approved by the and I don't think that will happen in Henderson. I think we've got the GIS and the maps and whatnot, which are so much. We just do a good job there at the planning commission, but I think it is our responsibility to look at it, and if we could maybe put that on the agenda for just to talk about it, to come up and make sure we've got a procedure that we all are comfortable with.
Mr. Gold's talked to me in the past about using consent agendas, and I'm open to that. And if that's a good way to handle it, love to. And maybe he and I and Brian Bishop get together and maybe bring some options back. The key, as you noted, the key there is that all the magistrates read the documentation they get emailed to them after those meetings, so that they're familiar with what had happened. And our planning commission is excellent. Brian Bishop and Randy Tass do a great job, but you never know. But making sure you read the materials is really the bottom line there. because there's certainly, we always have the option of objecting to a planning commission decision. But again, as Charlie, as Master McCollum indicated, that would trigger a new public hearing process that we would run and eventually come back with our own decision. There's always that possibility.
I'd just as soon not do that because it's a lot of work and having a hearing and doing the findings of fact. Well, wait a second now. I wouldn't have to do that now. So Steve Gold could do that. So maybe it would be.
Something tells me Magistrate McCollum would enjoy that immensely. And would be a dog with a bone in a situation like that. That's just my suspicion. Anything else, Master McCollum?
That's a compliment, Brad. Thank you.
Mr. Gold, anything for good of the county?
Things are good, Judge. Said my piece during the report this week. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. We have with us Kenny Garrett, came back on. Kenny, any new news out of the EMA office?
Nothing really catastrophic, but just a couple of quick things. One, we're still in COVID mode here, so still doing logistics and getting PPE out to all of those who have been requesting it. And two, got an email this morning from state regarding debris management. They're pushing debris management back up on a higher priority for us. And I'll be working with Nancy Watkins and some different ones and try to get some meetings here set for everybody so that we can start thinking about debris management as a whole and look at our existing plans and try to get that so that we're ready to go, because the flooding's not going to stop. You know, it's going to keep coming. We're going to get severe weather, and these plans just need to be reviewed, and that's what we're going to do.
Thank you. It is that time of year. And when we had the tornado last year, I think we did a good job of helping people with debris, but always good to have better plans. On that note, I'll start my comments by saying that, I'm sorry?
Did Magistrate Barry?
Oh, no, he didn't. He's just trying to leave. He always puts me last, so he decided just to cut me out. Yeah.
My apologies, Beth. Thank you very much. Magistrate Barry. I'm not used to you being in the building. I mean,
yeah, I know. Well, yeah, that's true. Well, I'm going to cut mine short because I forgot what I was going to say after you passed me over. Congratulations to Jailer Brady's one thing. Thank you, Judge, and thank all the county employees, by the way. And I want to recognize our faithful reporter here, Beth Smith, who's in the room with me from the Gleaner, covers all of our court meetings. She's always here. So I'm going to recognize Beth as well. So with that, all's good in District 1, I think. Thank you, Judge.
If you remember, interrupt me and we'll go back to you. I didn't mean to cut you off. A couple things. Speaking of Beth, she did a great job, if you read it in the Sunday paper, about kind of the anniversary of the beginning of the pandemic here. And it was very interesting. I'm glad she reached out to me. I want to say that I apologize to Kenny Garrett for leaving his name specifically out of the article. In a broad sense, I complimented our whole county team for doing everything they could to keep government running, even in the face of all that, especially the early days when everybody was locked down. And Kenny was certainly a huge portion of our coordinated response. And thank you very much, Kenny, for all you've done. And Bruce pitched in many ways to help, especially with PPE acquisition and distribution. So thanks to you as well. On the subject of debris, and I know that when Kenny says debris, he's talking about something else, but it relates to a conversation we really had just a couple, 3 days ago between myself, Nancy Watkins, Bill Hubiak, Steve Gold, Sheriff Brady, maybe leaving somebody out there, but about litter and Tim Southard, was it? Yes. Okay. About littering and the seeming epidemic of dumping and new litter in our county. And there's a lot of reasons for that. The pandemic has really impacted our ability to use jail crews to pick up thoroughfares in our community. But really what it comes down to is more and more citizens are not being responsible for their trash and their habits. And we're going to crack down. We're going to make a concerted effort to crack down on that when we can, to send communication out about the illegality of dumping, not only in public roadways and ditches, but also on your properties, what your responsibilities are as citizens, especially your neighbors when it comes to litter and garbage and I just want to send word out now that you should not be surprised if we will be issuing more citations to people who are not doing the right thing. The Sheriff's Department will be mindful of situations where we find or see somebody littering and there's some sort of evidence that links the garbage back to its former owner. We will be following up this way because it really makes the county look bad. It's a health issue and it's a community pride issue and it's a legal issue. So just want to let everybody know we're very concentrating very hard on that. Nancy Watkins is redoubling efforts to make people aware of what their responsibilities are. So,
Brad, on that note, I appreciate it because there is there's scientific evidence that if you have trash, you've got more crime. I mean, it is if people see stuff's already there, they're more likely to do something else, and where they wouldn't if it was. And if we're trying to make Henderson a community where we want tourism, you don't, I mean, you just drive down the roads right now and the trash is everywhere. It just makes our town and city look horrendous. So I appreciate you taking that on as an idea, because I think that's right. And I don't think it'll take much if we pop a couple of them. The fines are really high, it can be up to $500. Incidentally, all that money can come back to the county and the sheriff's office, and then up to a year in jail too, isn't it, Steve? Am I right? I mean, so it can be a serious. I had the county attorney in Russell County, there by Lake Cumberland, and he was shocked about what we did or didn't do in Henderson County, looking at statistics, and because he said we pop them. We give them a $500 fine, but most of them are people coming from Ohio they call it the Ohio Navy coming down there, and said tourism is our most important thing in their county, in Russell County. And they'd want a clean county. And I think we should too. And I don't think word will get out. These people, they learn pretty fast if you start popping them.
I hope so. Randy,
Judge, Judge, can I throw in one thing? Charlie, one thing that I've seen being at the sheriff's office, and I think David Crafton would agree, a lot of people go to the dump and some of this trash is coming from untarped. They don't cover their loads of trash. It blows off because they come by my house. It blows off. And I mean, is it possible, I'm going to put a thought in your mind, or everybody's. Is it possible to, say I go to the landfill with a load of trash that's don't have a tarp or not covered, whatever, to charge them $5. It's an extra $5 fee if you don't have a tarp load. Well, eventually you're going to start covering that stuff before you go. That's just a thought. I don't know how you collect it. Who would, it's just if it costs you money, you're going to do it. You're going to save the money. David, you got any ideas?
Well, that is one of the statutes that we enforce, is the statute on escaping contents. And if a load is susceptible to spillage, even if it's not falling off there, they can be cited. And we've had a special order out for several years giving the deputies instructions on which statutes are applicable to help combat this. Right. So it's something we've been working on for a long time. Go ahead.
Right. And the problem is you don't see them all. But I was just thinking, if the guy that was weighing the truck said you got a load of garbage that's not covered, it's $5 extra. That may not be feasible. I don't know.
To your question, Mr. Magistrate, the city runs the dump and they do the intake on vehicles that show up. We're going to have a city county work group meeting this afternoon, and maybe we can offer that as an idea to city, because their ditches and their more rural roads are just as impacted by this problem as we have been. So they have
just a thought, maybe try to curtail some of that. I don't know.
Mr. Jacobs points out that we now have on the front of our website, hendersonky.us, a link to a reporting form for people who see illegal dumping or see somebody littering. It's a quick and easy form. Doesn't take a second. It's on the front of our website, again, hendersonky.us, or you can call my office or the sheriff's office or Nancy's office. There's the front of our page right there under popular links. Again, pretty quick and easy, simple. And even little things like this, just reporting what you see, even if we don't catch them in the act, it can begin to show a trend where we might need to focus attention on a part of the county or a certain location. And we might be able to catch them in the act.
one of the things I'd like to see us do, growing up, I know, me and you're about the same age. I think I'm a little older than you, but remember the Indian crying? Well, I think we need to maybe get a commercial out there for Henderson County, and instead of him crying, ticked off, and let them know we're serious about this, and we're going to clean this county up, and it's going to hit them in their pocket, because it's ridiculous. You drive down the road and you're embarrassed of your county.
Well, I also would like to consider, and this is something to talk to the city about, is having a camera there at Green River Road #2 where you turn off. Because what I think happens a lot is people go to the dump, and if the dump's closed, whoop, they go down and then they come back empty. And, you know, if we can identify those people, I think that could give you enough evidence that you could go investigate and maybe charge them. And I don't think it would take much. And people know you got cameras and know that you're, and you would also be able to see people driving by that are untarped or whatever, if you can identify them. You know, if we want to take the time and do a little investigation to make sure we know who they are, you can charge them. And but yeah, it won't take much. Word gets out. Once they know that we're going to charge you, they don't want to go see Steve Gold in court and see the judge. I mean, it would make a difference, I think, pretty fast.
Pastor Barry, did you have a comment there?
No, I was just thinking about the tarp float. No, that's good. Thanks, Judge.
And Mr. Crafton, that may be something to consider. Little camera set up there at that junction. I do think that
there's a couple of locations that would be handy. Also over on the other side by Horseshoe Bend, the road going back there.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Stratman Road. Yeah. And there's no doubt Green River Road 2 is a hot spot for dumping. There's no doubt about it. Okay, on that note, I will wish everybody a great day. Thanks for the discussion today, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Master Barry, a second by Master Moran, and all those in favor can leave. See you soon.
Thanks, everybody.